Right before your eyes lies a secret, hidden not by darkness, but by familiarity. Symbols etched into our world like invisible ink, left behind by those who saw deeper than most. They weren't just architects of temples or guardians of forgotten lore. They were visionaries who left behind a roadmap, not of bricks and mortar, but of mind and spirit. Picture a builder, not of monuments, but of meaning. Their task? To craft a temple that cannot be touched, yet lives forever. A temple shaped not from stone, but from the essence of the soul. This is the path of the mason, not just a person, but a metaphor for each of us as we construct the architecture of our own inner world. Every tool they used was symbolic, a language of transformation. The square teaches integrity, the compass urges balance and restraint, and the all-seeing eye invites awareness of life's deeper patterns. These aren't just ancient emblems, they are living messages meant to awaken something dormant within us. Together, these symbols form a sacred design, a quiet summons to rise above the ordinary, to perceive the invisible order beneath life's chaos, and to step fully into who we were meant to become. This hidden wisdom isn't locked away in dusty tomes. It's alive, whispering through stone and symbol, waiting for us to see it. To unlock it is to tap into the same force that once shaped empires and stirred revolutions. Not for conquest, but for conscious evolution. This isn't a story from the past, it's an invitation to your future. And once you've seen it, the world will never look the same again. Within the rich tapestry of Masonic legend, there exists a profound tale, one that speaks to the timeless role of the builder, who is summoned to undertake a task unlike any other. He is called not merely to construct a physical edifice, but to craft a masterpiece of the highest order. However, this endeavor is marked by an extraordinary challenge. He must build without the familiar and reassuring sounds of hammer-striking chisel, without the usual voices offering instruction, camaraderie, or guidance. There is no blueprint handed down, no echo of mentorship beside him. Instead, he must rely solely on the silent strength of his own inner resources, his vision, his patience, his unwavering determination. This is not construction in the ordinary sense. What rises from his labor is not a temple made of stone and mortar, but a sanctuary of the mind and soul. It is formed from the raw material of his being, each level an embodiment of his beliefs, his personal truths, his memories, and the trials that have shaped him. Every stone he places is symbolic, a reflection of the values he holds, the wisdom he has gathered, and the lessons etched deep into the foundation of his spirit. With every careful layer, he edges closer to a profound realization of his life's meaning, inching toward the essence of his true self and the clarity of purpose he seeks. Yet, like any journey worth undertaking, the path is far from easy. Along the way, he is met by three potent and ever-present forces: thought, emotion, and action. These are not mere elements of his inner world. They are immense, almost mythic powers. They can act as loyal allies, lifting him to new heights of understanding, or as dangerous adversaries, threatening to undo all he strives to achieve. Thought embodies the realm of the mind, the ceaseless stream of ideas, doubts, insights, and questions that can either illuminate his path or obscure it in a fog of confusion. Emotion arises from the depths of his heart, stirring passions that fuel his devotion, but also hold the power to mislead him with intensity that blinds. Action is the outward expression of his will, the engine that propels dreams into reality, or, if unbalanced, sends them spiraling into chaos. In the beginning, these forces do not serve him well. Thought devolves into relentless overthinking and paralyzing self-doubt. Emotion swells into overpowering desire, clouding judgment and distorting truth. Action, unrestrained and undirected, becomes reckless, threatening to destroy the very thing he is trying to create. The temple, his sacred work, trembles, as if on the verge of collapse. The stones seem to falter in their alignment, the structure threatened by his own internal turmoil. But the builder does not surrender to failure. He does not abandon his task or curse the silence around him. Instead, he persists. Through pain, confusion, and deep introspection, he begins to tame these mighty forces. He learns to guide thought with clarity and discipline, to temper emotion with discernment and compassion, and to direct action with steady resolve and clear intention. Slowly, the chaos gives way to harmony, and the temple takes shape again, stronger, more refined, more truthful than before. This tale is not merely symbolic. It serves as a mirror for our own lives. It reminds us that each of us is a builder, tasked with the sacred work of constructing something meaningful from within ourselves. Our temple is the life we live, the person we become, the legacy we leave behind. We too wrestle daily with the forces of thought, emotion, and action. We too are challenged to bring them into alignment, to harness their power for creation instead of destruction. In the heart of the Masonic legend, there comes a turning point, a moment of deep betrayal, isolation, and hardship. The builder, stripped of everything familiar, faces what feels like the end. But instead of breaking, he chooses a higher path. He forgives, he endures, and he places his trust in the process of transformation. Through suffering and persistence, he gains mastery not only of his tools, but of himself. His resurrection is not just survival, it is a rebirth. He rises from the depths of struggle as a master, his inner temple finally complete, forged by the fire of dedication and the steady rhythm of one who never gave up. Light and darkness, these primal forces have stirred the hearts and minds of humankind since the earliest days of existence. They are not merely opposites in the Masonic worldview, they are the symbolic embodiment of the deep, ongoing tensions that exist within each of us. They stand for the eternal dance between ignorance and enlightenment, disorder and structure, blindness and awareness. Within the framework of Masonic tradition, these dualities are not just philosophical. They are lived, explored, and internalized as essential parts of the human journey. Picture this. You are alone in complete and utter darkness. The air is thick with uncertainty, your senses heightened yet confused, and a sense of fear, discomfort, and disorientation settles in. Then suddenly, a single flickering flame emerges in the gloom. That fragile light becomes something more than illumination. It is the awakening of awareness, the spark of understanding breaking through the void. In Masonic teachings, this moment is profound. Light gains its meaning only in contrast to darkness. It is precisely because of the presence of darkness that light can be recognized, appreciated, and sought. Without the unknown, there would be no desire to seek knowledge. Darkness, then, is not merely the absence of light. It is a rich and fertile space, full of unseen potential and latent wisdom. It is the soil from which awareness can grow. In the symbology found throughout Masonic art and ritual, the builder, a central figure in these teachings, is often depicted cloaked in a flowing blue robe, his head crowned with radiant golden light. He stands poised at the threshold between light and shadow, between clarity and mystery, learning how to navigate, harmonize, and draw strength from both realms. The colors are not accidental. The blue of the robe signifies wisdom, a calm, steady presence that persists even in the face of ambiguity and mystery. Gold, shining like the sun, represents enlightenment and clarity, the divine insight that cuts through the haze of confusion and sheds truth on what was once hidden. Yet the builder, in his wisdom, understands something deeper. While light may reveal, the actual process of transformation often begins in darkness. It is in the quiet, in the unknown, in the unexamined parts of ourselves that true growth takes root. Darkness, therefore, is not an enemy to be defeated. It is a mirror, a teacher, a space where dormant truths reside, waiting patiently to be discovered and understood. It challenges the builder to face his fears, to dig beneath the surface of his own consciousness, and to confront the shadows that he might otherwise flee. But just as too little light leaves one lost, too much light, an overload of stimulation, distraction, or forced clarity can be equally disorienting. An overexposure to light blinds, overwhelming the senses, and can lead to confusion masked as clarity. So the true work lies in achieving balance, not to exist only in light, nor to dwell only in darkness, but to move between them with intention and self-awareness. It is a deliberate cultivation of light, one that doesn't drown out the dark, but honors it, knowing that one enhances the other. The builder comes to understand, through trial and reflection, that real illumination does not come from external sources alone. Instead, it is born from within, from one's own clarity of thought, emotional strength, personal resilience, and the courage to turn inward and face what is hidden. To engage with both light and darkness is to step into a space of profound insight, where every difficulty, every trial, every obscure moment carries the seed of revelation. Each experience, whether painful, confusing, uplifting, or humbling, offers something to be learned, something to be integrated. The builder learns that personal evolution arises not from avoiding discomfort or bypassing complexity, but from engaging with it fully. Through this engagement, an internal flame is kindled, a constant and unwavering light that does not flicker with external conditions, but glows from deep understanding and the willingness to walk through shadow in order to emerge changed, awakened, and aware. Within the rich symbolic framework of Masonic tradition, there are three foundational pillars that uphold and shape the path of every individual's inner and outer journey: thought, emotion, and action. These three forces are not just abstract concepts, they are essential, living elements, forming the structural supports of a grand inner temple, a spiritual architecture whose strength and balance reflect the alignment of the self. Each pillar plays a distinct but interconnected role in maintaining the temple's harmony, influencing both the integrity of the individual and the quality of his engagement with the world. The first of these pillars is thought, the mental plane, the realm where ideas, beliefs, convictions, and insights take shape. It is the domain of the intellect, where reasoning dwells and where the seeds of understanding are planted. Thought has the power to guide us toward the light of truth, but just as easily, it can lead us into the confusion of illusion, delusion, and false perception. To gain mastery over this pillar is not to suppress thought, but to cultivate discipline within the mind, sharpening focus, embracing clarity, and learning to discern between what is essential and what is noise. A well-governed mind becomes a beacon, illuminating the path ahead rather than clouding it. The second pillar, emotion, speaks to the heart, the deep well of feeling that colors every experience and adds richness to existence. Emotion is the source of passion, empathy, love, and connection, yet it also carries within it the seeds of turmoil, anger, sorrow, fear, and desire. These feelings can empower us, drive us forward with meaning, or pull us into the storm of imbalance when left unchecked. To master this pillar means not to deny emotion, but to become fluent in its language, to understand what it signals, to recognize when it lifts us toward authenticity and when it drags us away from our center. It is through this emotional awareness that we learn to use feeling as fuel rather than chains. The third pillar is action, the final manifestation of both thought and emotion in the tangible world. This is the realm where internal alignment becomes visible through behavior, where intentions are tested by deeds. Action demands more than movement. It calls for purpose, integrity, and consistency. It is not enough to think rightly or feel deeply. True alignment occurs only when our actions reflect both our mental clarity and emotional truth. Action taken without the guidance of thoughtful insight and balanced feeling can become hollow, impulsive, or even destructive. But when thought and emotion are in sync, action becomes a graceful, authentic extension of the self, a living truth carried into form. The builder, symbolic of every seeker on the Masonic path, gradually comes to realize that his sacred work is the lifelong process of weaving these three pillars into unity. He learns that wisdom must never be cold or disconnected, but infused with compassion, that emotion must not be directionless, but channeled with meaning and intent, and that action must arise not from reaction, but from deep, reflective understanding. These three forces, while distinct, are constantly interacting, shaping one another in subtle ways. They do not remain static. They shift, evolve, and react to the circumstances of daily life. To truly master these pillars is to live with conscious intention. It is a task that requires ongoing vigilance, a kind of watchfulness over the interplay of thoughts, emotions, and choices. It takes patience, because balance is not a fixed state, but a moving target, continually affected by experience, memory, influence, and reflection. Each new situation becomes a test, a fresh opportunity to bring these forces into harmony, to forge unity out of internal fragmentation. And in that quiet, continuous effort, refining thought, cultivating emotion and aligning action, we begin to reshape not only ourselves, but the world we interact with. These pillars do not end at the boundaries of the self. They ripple outward, influencing relationships, communities, and the greater collective. Through this inner alignment, the builder brings equilibrium to his surroundings, becoming an agent of balance, a stabilizing force amidst the shifting tides of existence. Within the rich and layered symbolism of Masonic tradition, the image of a stairway carries profound weight, representing far more than a simple path upward. It is a powerful emblem of the human journey toward mastery, self-realization, and inner enlightenment, an ascent through successive stages of knowledge, discipline, and spiritual awakening. Each step along this sacred stairway is not merely a physical climb, but a challenge to be faced, a barrier to overcome, and a lesson to internalize. The stairway unfolds as a metaphor for transformation, where progress is earned, not given, and growth is measured by depth of understanding rather than distance traveled. This symbolic stairway begins at the level of the earth, the foundational plane of existence where duality reigns. Flanking the base of the stairs are two towering pillars, representing the essential opposites that define the human condition: light and shadow, order and disorder, certainty and doubt. These pillars remind the builder that before he can ascend, he must first acknowledge the reality of this duality. Life itself is a dance of opposing forces, and wisdom begins with the understanding that these opposites are not enemies, but necessary complements. The builder's first step is taken with this awareness, that balance is not the absence of conflict, but the harmony of contrast. As the builder ascends further, he encounters a set of 7 distinct steps, each one symbolizing a core discipline of classical learning: grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. These 7 liberal arts are not simply academic subjects or intellectual exercises. Within the Masonic context, they serve as gateways to deeper comprehension and inner refinement. Grammar teaches the structure of language, enabling clarity in thought and communication. Rhetoric cultivates the power of persuasion and the beauty of expression. Logic sharpens reason and discernment, revealing the structure behind ideas. Arithmetic offers insight into the nature of numbers and cycles. Geometry opens the mind to patterns and proportions underlying the universe. Music awakens harmony, not just in sound but in the soul. And astronomy elevates the gaze from the mundane to the cosmic, encouraging contemplation of the larger order. These steps collectively guide the builder not only to intellectual excellence, but to spiritual insight, teaching him how to perceive the divine blueprint woven into all things. Beyond the realm of intellect, the builder reaches another crucial set of steps, 5 in number, representing the 5 physical senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. These faculties are the gateways through which we experience the external world. But in Masonic symbolism, they are more than biological functions. They are tools of perception that must be honed and purified. Left unrefined, the senses can deceive, distort, and distract. But when trained and disciplined, they become instruments of deeper awareness. Mastery of the senses does not mean denial of the physical, but rather learning to interpret the sensory world through a higher lens, one that discerns truth beneath surface appearances and recognizes the sacred within the ordinary. At the higher reaches of this symbolic staircase, the builder encounters the final triad, 3 steps that symbolize the complete integration of body, mind, and spirit. These are not merely aspects of human nature, but pillars of being that must come into alignment. The body represents the physical vessel, the actions we take, and the discipline we maintain. The mind embodies thought, reason, and the power of reflection. The spirit is the inner flame, the animating force that connects us to the eternal. To climb these final steps is to seek the harmonious unity of these 3 elements, striving for a life where physical action, mental clarity, and spiritual intention move together in alignment. Thus, the act of climbing the stairway is an inward and outward movement. From darkness toward illumination, from fragmentation toward integration. It is a deliberate journey, a pilgrimage of the soul, in which the builder moves not to escape the world, but to engage with it more deeply. With each careful step, he learns to bring order out of chaos, meaning out of confusion, and purpose out of wandering. Every ascent reveals another level of insight, another veil lifted, another truth illuminated. The stairway itself is not static, it spirals ever upward, inviting the seeker to continue, to reflect, to rise. Each step becomes a meditation in motion, a symbolic threshold where the builder pauses to contemplate, to absorb, and to transform. The climb is not hurried, for every stage requires stillness and effort, intention and humility. The stairway calls not only for physical ascent, but for inward awakening, demanding presence, perseverance, and an open heart willing to receive the mysteries revealed in silence. At the very summit of the Masonic path stands a symbol of profound depth and mystery, the Eye of Providence, more commonly referred to as the all-seeing eye. Encased within a radiant triangle, this powerful emblem signifies a vision that extends far beyond the limitations of ordinary physical sight. It embodies a heightened state of awareness, a spiritual perception that transcends surface appearances and reaches into the hidden essence of all existence. This eye is not merely decorative or symbolic, it is a representation of divine oversight, of an eternal consciousness that observes all things from a place beyond time and space. The Eye of Providence calls attention to the reality that there is always a higher perspective available, one that perceives not just what is visible, but what is true. It serves as a constant reminder that within each of us lives an inner observer, an internal eye that watches not only what we do, but how we think and why we act. This sacred witness compels us to examine our intentions, our choices, and the hidden motives that guide our behaviors. It is a call to live honestly, to act with integrity even when no one else is watching, and to be accountable not just to the world, but to our own higher selves. The triangle that cradles the eye adds another layer of symbolic meaning, representing the vital triad of body, mind, and spirit. These three aspects form the stable foundation upon which personal and spiritual growth must be built. The triangle, pointing upward, signifies ascent, toward balance, harmony, and a more unified self. Within this sacred geometry, the all-seeing eye serves as the integrating force that brings these elements into alignment, encouraging wholeness and awakening. It is not just about seeing more clearly, but about seeing more completely, perceiving the interconnected web of life where every thought, word, and deed plays a part in shaping the greater whole. Moreover, the presence of the all-seeing eye is a powerful reminder that nothing exists in isolation. Our lives are not separate threads, but woven into a vast, intricate tapestry of cause and effect. Every action sends ripples outward, influencing others and returning to us in unseen ways. This eye, forever open, invites us to be mindful of the impact we have, not just in grand gestures, but in the quiet decisions and subtle moments that often pass unnoticed. It urges us to remember that we are co-creators of our world, and that with vision comes responsibility. However, true vision is not simply a gift, it is a challenge. To truly see requires more than open eyes. It demands an open heart and the courage to face the uncomfortable truths buried within. It means confronting our shadows, acknowledging our flaws, and being willing to evolve. The all-seeing eye does not merely observe outward behavior, it penetrates into the soul, calling us to align with a higher purpose, to act not out of fear or ego, but from clarity, compassion, and truth. The Eye of Providence, ever watchful, does not impose. It invites. It beckons us inward, into a deeper relationship with ourselves and the universe, encouraging the cultivation of inner sight, the refinement of consciousness, and the embrace of a life lived not on autopilot, but with full presence and deliberate intent. It speaks of awakening, of the sacred task of becoming not just passive witnesses, but active builders of a reality founded on truth, integrity, and meaning. At the very core of Masonic tradition lies the profound and enduring concept of the inner temple, a sacred structure that is not built of stone or mortar, but shaped through our intentions, choices, and personal values. This invisible temple is the most important edifice we are ever called to construct, with our character, aspirations, and actions serving as the very stones and pillars that hold it together. Unlike external buildings, this one is assembled within the soul, forged in moments of quiet reflection, personal struggle, and moral clarity. To build the inner temple is to undertake a lifelong journey of self-mastery. It demands discipline, patience, and unwavering integrity. Its foundation is laid in silence, where noise cannot distract, and the soul is left to face itself honestly. Every stone we place represents a virtue we strive to embody: honesty, courage, humility, compassion, resilience. These qualities become the enduring walls that hold strong against life's tempests, offering shelter and stability amid chaos and uncertainty. Within this inner sanctuary lies a space of immense depth, a sacred chamber of clarity where truth is neither hidden nor distorted. It is here we confront our deepest selves, examine our intentions, and seek wisdom born from experience. The inner temple becomes a mirror of who we are and who we are becoming. It is not a structure we ever truly finish, but one that evolves and expands with every lesson learned, every hardship overcome, and every act of conscious growth. Yet this sacred construction is not meant to serve us alone. A well-built inner temple radiates outward, becoming a beacon of strength and inspiration for others. It becomes a place of refuge and guidance, a light that uplifts not only ourselves, but also those we encounter. In nurturing this temple within, we also contribute to the world around us, offering something steady and true in a world that often feels unstable and fragmented. The inner temple, then, is both a profound gift and a solemn responsibility. It is an invitation to live a life of purpose, a call to embody our highest values, and a challenge to rise above the distractions of the outer world. Through its construction, we become not just builders, but architects of lives filled with meaning, depth, and enduring impact. In Masonic philosophy, the self is the ultimate authority in determining the integrity of the inner temple. There is no external force or higher power that passes final judgment on our actions or intentions. The responsibility lies squarely with us. It is through our choices, behaviors, and inner motivations that the foundation and walls of our temple are formed. As both the architect and the judge of our spiritual structure, we are tasked with continuously evaluating whether what we have built aligns with our most cherished values and our deepest truths. This judgment is not a one-time event, but a reflective and ongoing process, a daily commitment to honest self-examination and refinement. We must ask ourselves, are we constructing our inner temple with integrity? Are we staying true to our highest ideals and principles? The Masonic teachings emphasize that, at the end of our journey, what truly matters is not the approval or recognition of others, but the quiet, unwavering knowledge that we have lived our lives with honesty, purpose, and integrity. The inner temple we build is a mirror of our soul, a reflection of who we are and what we have consciously chosen to create. It becomes a legacy of self-discipline, wisdom, and truth. As builders of our lives, we possess the power and the profound responsibility to shape our destinies with intention. Guided by noble principles, our task is to build with integrity, act with purpose, and always judge ourselves with clarity and honesty. May we all continue on this journey, dedicating ourselves to building with purpose, judging ourselves with truth, and living as true architects of the lives we are meant to create.